Call the meeting to order.
Yes, Gold,
Here.
Pierce,
Here.
Lux,
Here.
Sarah,
Here.
and Campbell.
Here. Do the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
with an addition under 57 being job corps, and Derek Superstorp is here tonight to give us an update. And then we're also gonna move under 56, item F is gonna come to the top of that list, just so our AD can head up to there is a game tonight, so he'd like to go up there to be there. So that is it. That's all the changes. So we just need a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, the next, do we have any waivers tonight for anything?
Not one of any.
Okay, no waivers then. We need to approve the minutes from September 10th as well as September 23rd. Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from September 10th and 23rd.
Second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next one is approve expenditures A through C, unless you have any questions. Well, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve expenditures A through C. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next one is item 54, financial statements. Again, if there's anything you want to pull out, you can. If not, I would entertain a motion to approve A through K.
I'd make a motion to approve financial statements A through K. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item is 55, patrons and others. Margie is going to give us an update on the 2024 audit.
Okay, so Bruce is here. He's actually working on Custer County. And he asked if we had a room that he could work in. So he's up in room 408 and he has a new person this year. Last year it was another one and then she moved on to Sioux Falls. She's still working for Department of Legislative Audit. So he's got a new helper. Her name is Hunter. So she started on our audit. He said, if you have any questions, you can give him a call, stop by and see him. He's up in room 408. And then the entrance letter is just in the board packet, so you and I will need to sign that. Okay.
Do we need a motion to
No.
declare anything? It's just our normal
Yeah.
process. Okay. So any questions about the audit at all? All right, so we are to new business. We're gonna have Zach start us off.
All right, well, in my Black Hills Conference and Area AD meeting that I had, last month, I kind of found out that for high school wrestling this year, they're gonna split up a lot of the tournaments. So it used to be boys and girls together on Saturdays with those tournaments for the most part. And this year, a lot of the schools are gonna move to separating the girls and the boys tournaments into separate places, whether that's, like Custer talked about, they're gonna have boys on Friday night, girls on Saturday. The Hill City guy was saying that they're going to do just a boys only tournament, and then Newcastle's gonna do a girls for that day. Belle Fourche's AD was talking about how they will have a boys tournament at the high school and a girls tournament at the Armory, and then kind of switch that every year. And with that, I was looking at the structure for our coaches here, and right now we have 3 high school coaches. So we have a head coach and 2 assistants. If those competitions were held in separate places, we would have one of those groups, either the boys or girls, would have to be, would have to be watched over and coached by one person. And right now we're looking at having about 10 to 12 boys out for wrestling and 10 to 12 girls. So whether it's separate dates and we have, 2 coaches going to a meet and 1 coach staying back for practice, it's still a lot to ask of 1 person for 10 to 12 people in kind of a sport like that. And then if they're held in separate venues at the same time, it's pretty tough to expect one person who's either taking the boys or the girls to coach 10 to 12 kids and still be responsible for that supervision of those kids. So my proposal, now that it's getting split and our teams are kind of similar in size here, would be to have a head boys wrestling coach with an assistant boys wrestling coach at the high school level, and then a head girls coach and a head girls assistant coach. So it'd be separating the program, and that supervision that comes with it, as well as the coaching at meets and at practices. If they wanted to share a practice room, that would be fine. I don't think that's a big deal yet. We have a big enough wrestling room to run both, but as far as the supervision at events is what I would worry about the most with that.
Do we have any thoughts on when you would like to add this position and at what rate of pay?
I think, so for the rate of pay, we probably have to make it, in the same as the boys, for both head and assistant coaches. And then, to be honest, it would be nice, because right now we have, an assistant high school position open and an assistant middle school position open. So it would be nice, to do this as soon as possible before we worry about filling those. I would like to know how many positions we're gonna have open. It would be nice to fill the head girls coach position before assigning assistant roles, if that's the direction that we can move in.
One thing I would add, there's on the rate of pay, there's no decision for you or us or anybody else to make, because those coaching positions are negotiated. There's a salary schedule for those extra duty contracts, and it's spelled out. Head wrestling is this amount with these steps.
So I guess my main reason in asking that is, what are we looking at that doing to your budget, basically? I mean, do you have the room in your budget to change 2 or 3 positions to one
Well,
position, or?
Yeah, and I'll let Margie speak to that as well, but like the simple answer is no, it's not budgeted.
Right.
However, our general fund does have room for that. If you recall, we had a teaching position, full FTE, that we haven't filled within our general fund. And that's considerably more than a head coaching position. So, and it's a pertinent question, but overall, like the athletic budget doesn't have room for it. The general fund has room. Is that accurate, Margie?
I guess if it gets down to the general fund being, overspent, then it would just be a supplemental at the end of the year. But I mean, it's really early, but yeah, we didn't fill that teaching position as well as the benefits.
Well, and I do know that we have a couple of assistant positions that I don't believe there's an intention of filling this year. With other programs that I don't know if that money could get moved around to. Like, I'm thinking specifically your cheer and dance. You don't have an assistant coach for those, which
Right.
that's not as much as a wrestling coach would be, but that would help with that funding.
Yeah. And this wasn't something, I guess, looking at that being like the fastest growing sport in the nation, it's talking about girls wrestling, you could anticipate that. But it kind of, I would say with this, I didn't know going into it that was going to be the plan this year until we started doing our scheduling last month. So it did kind of sneak up on me there, but I feel like this is the best way to get out in front of that before there's an issue, that pops up and every tournament splits, because that's probably the direction we're headed in.
So currently, just to recap, you have a head boys and an assistant right now, or do you have 2 assistants right now?
So there's no boys or girls right now. It's just we have a high school head coach and then we have 2 high school assistant
So
coaches.
you're gonna basically be adding 1 position.
One head coaching position, yes, to that. The 2 assistants
Clear.
was,
So it's just one overall position under wrestling for head coach.
yep,
And I believe right now, our 2 current coaches, I do think that, how do I put this? From the conversations that I have had, when my own kids were in wrestling and, even beyond that, there's a big difference between girls wrestling and boys wrestling, just in technique and things like that. So getting someone in there that would be able to maybe teach more to the technique with girls wrestling would be a good thing to do. Not only that, I mean, I think that for liability purposes, we need to have two coaches there at all times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they wanna go in the direction of, you know, the boys and girls basketball program where they're sharing gym one and exchanging times there and never in the gym together, that would be fine, you know, I'll leave that up to those guys to make that decision. But, it would be beneficial to have a separate coach for those girls and
So-
boys.
Is this an action item? I mean, how do you want to do that? It doesn't say.
The way I would like to do it is if we have a consensus of the board or if the board feels informed on this matter, you would have an opportunity to approve it when we bring a contract.
So I guess I don't have any concerns with you splitting it out that way. And then we can, you know, when it comes down to what they're gonna get paid and whatever, you'll share that with us when you figure that out with coaches, I would assume.
So
People won't make a motion.
we don't need to make a motion to approve the addition of a position. We would only need to make a motion once he's selected someone
To hire.
to hire.
Because that would be an action item,
Right.
like the contract part. Okay, anything else that you want to share with us? Well, then I guess that's it for that. So we will move to the contract resignation list.
Okay. I'll kind of run through these like I normally do. Certified substitutes, pre-read these names, so I might mispronounce some. Joshua, is it Haig? Can you know Joshua?
Yeah.
Okay. Nick Hansen, Lisa Haslip, Don Kierkegaard. That's a high profile one, former Secretary of Education. David Parker, Peg Parker, and Connie Teal. Classified substitutes, Nick Hansen, Lisa Haslip, Don Kierkegaard, David Parker, Peg Parker, Connie Teal. Teacher mentor contracts, and I did have a question, and actually I didn't know the answer to this, pretty simple answer. I asked Margie, why are the teacher mentor contracts different amounts? And that's because, like the coaching contracts, they're on the extra duty schedule, and so that is why, depending on the experience of the person. Okay. Tony Altoff, Abby Jacobs, Shaylee Wenzegraff, Sarah Rathert, Marla Marshall, and Julie Sagner. And classified work agreements, Winifred Harris, Amanda Wink, Robert Farwell, Katie Jenkins. Resignation, elementary food service, Eva Hansen, and student helper, Ian Murphy. Is
We just need a motion to approve or not approve the contract list.
I'll make a motion to approve the contracts and resignations.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the list is B, Consolidated Board of Equalization Resolution.
So this is just the resolution to participate in the Consolidated Board of Equalization. In March, we'll appoint two board members, one at the Lead, one in the Deadwood, to attend the meetings. But for now, all we're doing is just signing the resolution to participate.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the Board of Equalization. That work? Okay.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next item is to discuss the strategic plan updates. I can't say that word.
Okay. And those were sent out in the packet, right? Did we get that in the packet? Okay. And we kind of talked about, originally we talked about in our strategic planning meeting to kind of put that together, compile it and approve that tonight. And then we had a conversation about taking that a little bit slower, review it, and then approve it next month. And so, and I kind of like that approach. It's not what we've done, you know, like last year and the year before. However, I think it'll give us another opportunity to have some further discussion among the admin team, with some of the suggestions we've gotten from different people. And then we could send that out to you guys to have another look and approve it at the next meeting. But I guess, one of the things I guess I'd like to say is I was pretty pleased with, the amount of feedback that we've gotten, through the admin team. You know, they all had the, kind of the expectation to seek input within their departments. Also, we got input from staff. In the in-service, we did an activity. I think a couple of you were there for that. I saw that. And so, staff had a chance for input on that there, and also through their building principals, through their department heads. You know, the board had lengthy discussion, and it was really kind of fun for me to see, that we had a lot of the same ideas, coming from different stakeholders, different areas, a lot of common themes. And so now we're kind of at the point where, as an administration, we're saying, okay, you know, these are our goals, this is our direction we're wanting to head. Even like the board members gave us a few suggestions on some action items, but what can we do in our daily operations to make these things come to fruition? So I guess with that, I would just invite anybody on the board or in the admin team, if you want to comment on anything that kind of jumped out at you, that particularly excites you, or anything that you want to speak on, that might be a good direction to head with the discussion.
Anything else on that?
No, I mean, I think the thing that I really, liked that kind of came out of our strategic planning efforts is, a focus on mental health. I like that we're gonna be trying to take a more active role in reducing that stigma and trying to make sure that we're providing the resources that we need for our students and our staff.
So the next item is to look at the 5-year capital outlay plan.
We also took a look at that. I don't think from that day, we've had any changes from that. And again, this is kind of like, you know, if you think about looking through a pair of binoculars, you know, you can focus on things closer up or things further out. And as you look at this, the things that are in the current fiscal year, the next fiscal year, those are really in a lot more focus, a lot more detail. The things 5 years out are maybe there's a little less focus, a little less detail. And that doesn't mean necessarily that that's going to be the dollar amount we spend. There will be some priorities that come to light as we go along. It's going to be, you know, every year it gets updated. It's going to be work in progress. So that's kind of how that works. Details get added as we get closer to those things.
Did everybody have a chance to review that from the last time? I know some of you had wanted a little more time to look at it, so. Okay. Then if not, we would entertain a motion to either approve or not approve the 5-year capital outlay plan.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I appreciated the input that you could get from department heads on buses and, you know, things that are gonna be needed a few years down the road. So I think that it's laid out really well and is a good, definitely a good planning document for what we're looking at in the future. So that's good.
Okay, so we'd entertain a motion to approve or disapprove.
I'll make a motion to approve that. Yeah, capital outlay plan.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. The next item is to consider the board position on initiated measure 28.
I sent that information out in the
A lot of
packet.
information to read.
So I am I'm gonna let the board just discuss that, because ultimately, I mean, almost always I come with a recommendation for the board on the business of our school. I don't feel like this is a business item for our school. I feel like this is more or less kind of a political statement. Now, it's gonna have ramifications for public education. But I think it has to be you 5 people coming to what you're comfortable with. You know, there's a sample resolution there. If you want to pass that resolution, which is, I don't know, that sample resolutions that came from Associated School Boards basically is to oppose IM 28. But before you make a statement on this, you 5 people need to, it needs to be what you feel in your heart is right. So I don't have an opinion.
Well, I'll talk about it a little bit, just because we've been talking about it through the city. I think that I like the wording of the resolution from the Associated School Boards that talks about how many other organizations support opposing the initiated measure, how many local governments oppose it and why they oppose it. I think our school district's special that we don't need that income, but there are a lot of school districts that will be directly affected by this. And it's my opinion that the more awareness that we can build, if nothing else, people can research it themselves and make their own decision, but the school takes a position, at least raises more awareness. So I would support it.
Well, then somewhere in there too, I don't remember where it's at. It says something in there about if this does pass, like it's almost inevitable that we'll have state income tax. Like it says it
Yeah.
somewhere in there
Mhm.
that you'll
Because of
have
the
a state
number of
income tax because of it. So, I mean, and then it says something about like, it's not the same as what Christina was trying to pass years ago about the food tax being taken away. Like there's lots of things in there that are just.
I would kind of go along with what Robin was saying with it, and say that, you know, for IM 28, just the way it is written is gonna have some really big ramifications, for us as municipalities and as a state. And that's gonna probably result in other organizations that, our kids, our families, our communities depend on, having some really, tough things come their way. For instance, I got a letter in the mail today, I think it was, from the city of Leeds saying, hey, you know, depending on how IM 28 goes, we may or may not have to reconsider our funding positions for, other area organizations. So when you're looking at your nonprofit communities that do things like provide, you know, community dinners or provide different services within your community, those are things that are directly affecting our kids outside of school. We can, luckily, we're in a position that, you know, we have the resources that we do in school, but our kids are gonna potentially start missing out on resources outside of school, as a result of this. I would also say that with initiated measure 28, the use of the verbiage consumable goods, is very, what's the word?
Vague.
Vague, thank you. And I got the impression from all that information that we're looking at it, reducing our taxes on, I don't like the term luxury items, but a luxury tax on things like, you know,
So.
no, but I'm saying like it's changing things like, you know, how much you're paying on tax on alcohol and tobacco, vaping products, things like that. Things that are, not helping us in our schools, by any means either. You know, the difference that I guess I got out of this was that Governor Noem's House Bill, 1075, I believe it was just reducing the, tax to 0% as opposed to, this, which just says there's no tax. So with it being a 0% tax, that still left it to the cities to be able to charge that 2% tax on goods, to help our cities out, as opposed to this just makes it, nope, we can't have tax on it at all. So, sorry,
No, that's okay.
lots of words.
I think that's why we're having the discussion. I don't think as a board, we should take a position somewhere. It's not, if it's just purely a political statement, I don't think it's necessary to say that we're for it or.
I think the reason the Association of School Boards put out the sample resolution is other school districts, correct me if I'm wrong, but other school districts that get state funding, the sales tax from the state pays the school tax. So
In
This-
part, yeah.
yeah, so if this tax were cut, it would cut essentially part of the sales tax that goes to the state that funds school districts. And so it directly would affect school districts. Our district is a little bit different on how we get that funding, but it would affect other school districts.
Pretty much every school except for two.
But it is kind of weird to say that.
Yes.
Or
Yeah, it's very-
this seems like it's out of our. Okay. Assumes on this. Anything else? If not, I think we just have to decide if we're going to or if we're not, because I mean, that's fine either way.
So,
Um,
yep, somebody make a motion, somebody will or will not second it, and then you vote.
I would make a motion to, to draft a resolution to support opposing initiated measure 20.
Could we just sign this? And the associate school board?
So her motion is to draft one and then we can sign it. That's what her motion is.
Is this the one you're planning to draft, just for clarity?
I didn't really see anything on it. In general,
So
states of facts. Should I amend my
would you
motion?
consider to amend your motion to specifically state that you want to use the sample resolution provided by the South Dakota School Board
Yes,
Association?
yep, I would like to amend my motion to, make a motion to in opposition to item 20.
And I would second that? Yes. Okay, second. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
So we have one nay. Do you want to do a roll call?
Yeah.
We must.
So we'll do a roll call vote.
Vote.
Aye.
Sears.
Aye.
Lux.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Campbell.
All right, so the motion will pass to create the opposition letter. And get that sent in. And that is all we have on that item. We already did that one. So H, we need to set the mileage reimbursement rate of 0.67 per mile effective as of October 1st. We just need a motion, that's based on the state.
It's the IRS. Before they used to, there used to be a state and a federal, now it's just federal.
Federal. So,
Okay.
you get a little more money now.
One extra penny.
Two.
I can say it's 655 is what I've been doing. I would make motion to set the mileage reimbursement rate at 67 cents a mile, effective October 1st.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is appoint the delegate for the 2024 AFBSD Delegate Assembly. In the past, I have been the delegate, Amber's done it, I think John went. I can't be the delegate anymore because I sit on the ASBSD board itself, so I'm not allowed to be the delegate anymore. It's very interesting. You learn about all the background of how the rules are written and the laws that come up and the changes made. And so it's very interesting. You do have to go to Pier. It's one full day. I don't remember the date. November.
Is it?
It's around Thanksgiving, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, I want to say like the 17th or 18th. I can get the date. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's somewhere in there. And it's a Thursday, I believe. Thursday's the 21st. So it might even be the week before that. So the 14th, maybe. You can see if you can find the date. So what would happen is you would go, you would have a voting card for our district, basically. And, there's, 200 people in the room, and it's a pretty big group of people. And they go through all of the ASBSD, changes that the legislation is looking at and whatever. And then you vote, yes, you're okay with the language, no, you're not, whatever. I mean, there's lots of discussion, there's things that take place. It's very interesting.
It is Friday,
Oh, Friday,
November 22.
1 second. And it would be all day. So in the past, so I must have to go Thursday, that's what the board meetings Thursday.
It's in Fort Pier, so you don't have to go all the way to Pier. At Drifters Event Center.
Fancy, we're not. So yeah, you'll go and it's till 3-ish. I used to drive down early that morning and come back that night. It's a long day, but it's right before Thanksgiving and
Well,
I get it.
from Las Vegas that day.
It's interesting.
It is actually really.
I actually would love to go to this. My only concern is that I fly in from DC on the 21st. But I am driving out to my family farm, which is about an hour and a half outside of here on the 22nd, so it would just be leaving my house a little earlier.
You can't do it. I would do it. I don't know.
So.
I think we might be on the same. Why?
I think we just have to notify them. Usually, I usually just send them an email saying this is the delegate, because then you'll get a packet beforehand with all the changes, so that you have a chance to kind of review them and, make your discussion, or if you need to talk, I know in the past, I've called Dr. Pearson and say, hey, what do you think about this? Is there something that we need to be aware of? Something else going on, whatever. So if you guys wanna, probably really should make a decision tonight. And it's already over.
I think you can make a decision, and
And
if,
then-
and if it changes, I think we can.
Yeah.
I think they can accommodate.
I would love to go. Assuming I.
How about we do this? We can put it in as you, but if something comes up and changes, we can change it to Jody. That fair enough? That way if something changes, we just have to let them know. Yeah, when will you know? Sure.
I mean, if my flight doesn't get in on the 21st, then that would be.
So we didn't know this.
And they don't, if you don't have somebody there, they don't take away your birthday.
Nope.
So like we can plan on Lexi, and if the wheels fall off, I hope that doesn't happen to your airplane. But then just, why not?
So if that's the case, we don't usually make a motion, do we? We just delegate somebody like. Hey, I'm appointing you to go. That works. It is, okay, some people find law interesting. It's kind of fun.
We should go to school for that.
Yeah. Okay, so the last item, this item was added, because of the Rainbow Gas contract that we got some new rate stuff, was a good thing, I think.
Yeah, it went down.
It was asking, it's always good.
So our Rainbow contract is up for our gas. Was $3.90 last year, gonna be $3.14 this year. I would recommend that we take it.
Yeah. Pretty good. Yeah. So we would need a motion to approve the Rainbow Gas contract with the decrease in price.
I'd make a motion to approve the lower rate for Rainbow Gas.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. So we are on to the administrator reports. We are gonna start with the superintendent's report.
Yeah, this is gonna blow you away.
You have
I have
nothing.
Nothing.
Thanks. So the next item is the nurses report.
And she is sick, and she gave an update, she must have had like crystal ball, gave an update last month, so she's.
Okay. Well, this feels better. Next item is food service. Elizabeth.
Yes, so our Department of Health inspector came in 100 at 2 kitchens, so that's the best we can do, which is great. We're pretty consistent on our meals right now. We're averaging about between 190 and 198 at both schools. That includes lunch and breakfast, So I think the enthusiasm for the kids are there. If anybody ever needs a pick-me-up, I would invite you between 11 and 11:30 to come to the elementary. See these beautiful kindergartners and first graders come in every day. They're so excited. Whether it's cinnamon rolls, like Mark's kid the other day just changed my life because cinnamon rolls! So it's incredible. So I love the enthusiasm down there. We're heading into some cold months, so our soups, our casseroles, and our from scratch meals are coming up. So it's an exciting time in the food services right now, but things are going well. So we're just gonna keep working with our fresh fruit and vegetable bar and keep doing cinnamon rolls. Good, thanks. Oh, I know. Come on down.
So then, The next is Job Corps.
Thank you. Yeah, so I guess to start off, in August, we had a new center director named out of Job Corps. Bonnie Fuller was named as center director. She brings 20+ years of experience out there as an educator and administrator, and, I guess most recently our public affairs liaison. So, wonderful, talented person with a lot of experience. Couldn't be happier to have her in that position. Our enrollment's up. We've been on the slow rebuild ever since COVID. Last year, about this time, we're in the low 60s. We got a little over 90 students enrolled right now. That equates to about 78 of those students enrolled in the high school program there. And of those, about 37 of those students are funded students, which means that they came from a South Dakota school. I guess we got a lot of new board members, so just kind of clarify for you guys the way our funding works. We are outside of the district funding formula. We're funded directly from the state on a per student basis, based on, like I said, students that came directly from South Dakota schools. So if they came to us from a homeschool enrollment, we don't get any funding for them. If they came to us from out of school or out of state, excuse me, we don't get any funding for them. But those 37 students funded several teaching positions. Almost 99% of that funding goes directly to teacher salary. And then the rest of those students managed to get a high school education, just in the kind of joint cooperation between the district and the federal program out there. So it's a wonderful benefit for a lot of great students. What else? I guess with that increase in funding and enrollment, we're adding a teaching position. So if you know anybody that wants to come out and teach with a wonderful group of students, part-time or full-time, and we've got a lot of positions or a lot of subject areas open that we kind of really fit just about anything into, except for maybe another math teacher. We got 2 of those already. But if you know anybody that would be interested, please send us our way. It's on the Black Hills Special Services listing. So get them in contact with me or refer them to that page. What else? Forest Service is on a hiring freeze pretty much nationwide. We are lucky enough that they recognize that the positions, the Job Corps, are essential to the students that are there. So we're probably the only Forest Service entity that is continuing to hire right now, which is great. We've managed to fill a lot of empty positions. And I just wanted to kind of put a little bit of highlight on our summer activities. We're a career and technical education related school. A lot of the activities that we do related to that are in summertime, with all the business that goes on around here and in the Forest Service. We do as much as we can to kind of take those partnerships that are largely part of the federal program, the job training, and tie that into our high school program. So we're able to take things like internships in Rapid or with the Forest Service and translate those into internship credits for our students. We're gonna go out and work with the Forest Service. I think we got a beaver dam project coming up. We do a lot to try and integrate that into our science classes, make those science labs. So wherever we can, we try to integrate those things. So Jamie, if you got a few pictures here, I was just gonna highlight over the summer months, kind of some of the things that went on. That's pretty small, but so work-based learning sites. So these are students that got paid to go out and work. Musco Electric, Electric Instruction, Sanford, RPM and Associates. We had almost 20 students go out and get paid work-based learning opportunities over the summer. A lot of those translated into full-time jobs as they left. Box Elder fire assignments. So we stand up a type 2 fire crew. It's an after-school program. These students train all year long after school, do PT. They get trained as firefighters. Then in the summer, they get a chance to go out and actually work as a fire crew. So these are all the fires that they went out to this summer. A lot of them. It's a great chance for those students, one, to gain experience. A lot of them end up going into that as a career, outside of whatever certification they get in the training programs there. And it's a great opportunity to make some money. One of our students is going to be speaking about that, but it sets them up to be able to leave the program with rent money, a car, all that kind of stuff to be able to be successful as they leave. And like I said, we do a lot of volunteer work too. So these are all volunteer projects that went over the last 3 months. Everything from building bridges in the Mystic Northern Hills, doing maintenance out of the TP Work Center down in Custer, graveling parking lots. We built a bunch of informational, re-roofed a bunch of kiosks, which one of the students is going to speak about. Our welders built some headache racks for some of the new Leos in the forest because they didn't have funding for that. So just a ton of great projects. Like I said, this is the last 3 or 4 months. So the students have been out, they've had their hands on a lot of projects. I think that's where we excel, and it's where we try and emphasize just getting out of the classroom and learning through experience. And with that, I brought a couple of students with me. Like I said, we try and translate a lot of this to high school credits. Part of that internship credit is writing a reflection on it. There's some academic parts to it as well, in addition to the work, and then doing a presentation on it. So a couple of them here are going to talk about some of the internship work they did. And I have another one who's going to give a little bit longer talk as part of one of his informational speeches for his speech class. And our English teacher, Ms. Papernick, is here to to grade him. So no pressure. So Jamie, if you want to go ahead and pull up the first pictures, I forget who was first. So looks like you're up. And introduce yourself to the group and.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason Lawton, Bikichigaja Bajichoko, which stands for excellent at everything in my Crow language. I am 19 years young, born and raised in Montana on the Crow Reservation. When I lived in Montana, I always heard colleagues and friends refer to Job Corps as a stepping stone in life that can help in many ways to get back on your feet. Now that I'm here, I can say that making this decision was the best choice I made so far for myself. And my experience from Job Corps had nothing but positive expectations from the program. By pursuing the electrical trade, by obtaining my certificate and become an overhead power lineman. With those experiences, I've been out on firefighting assignments for the Box Elder Job Corps, which were very fascinating. Traveling while working, talking with many supporters in the fire world, and lots of advice from folks that looked out for me. While being on these fires, I realized a couple things that can change people's lives when coming to Job Corps. With so many opportunities here, it can be the best experience for anyone. I've learned how to be financially stable after the assignments, and if money did grow on trees, everyone's season would be fall. I have become more disciplined from the work ethics, and I've gained stronger communication skills with coworkers and fellow friends. All these tools help me visualize a world that I can be successful in. They made me realize what I want to accomplish in life. With that being said, I am choosing to be successful in life, and that all started with Job Corps. I want to thank Bonnie, Derek, Corbin for always pushing us to do our best, sticking out our necks to help us by any means. Residential staff for taking care of our needs and wants, making sure we are content in the dorms or just in general. Teachers and instructors sacrifice their time to help us become successful, not just in education, but in life standards. Last but not least, the nurses on campus always took care of my needs when I was injured and ill, always checking on me if I needed anything else, and so much more. Everything I needed to progress in life has happened at Job Corps, and therefore I support Box Elder Job Corps. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your evening.
You can mind telling us just a couple of, where were these pictures taken at, or you know which side they were on?
Yeah, so we had a fire class in May, and it was a week course. We got paid for that, and that was the last day, and they showed us what to do when we're on, like, in person on fire, and what we had to do, like the standard procedures, and what all standard orders, what we have to remember. We started hand lining, hand digging. We did the evacuations, and last minute to put a fire blanket over you if there's a fire coming at you. So a little drill we had to do. And yeah, I got my S190, 180, 130. So I got my certificates red carded, and now I'm a certified firefighter. Got that week course done.
You can go to the next one, Jamie, I think. Were those all, is that all here, or is that a different place?
Oh, no, that was in Colorado Springs. That was, man, we got called into a lot of fires that week, but there's only like 3 we made it to, and there's like 5 we got called to. That was one of them. We had to hike like 8,000 feet up in the mountains, and it was like bad. It was in Colorado Springs.
It was just there, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what the pictures are.
It was like 101 degrees in that picture, so it was
Oh,
hot.
wow.
Wow. All right, thank you, Jason.
Nice.
Jane, go on to the next, probably 2 forward. Next one. All right. David, you're up. Mind introducing yourself?
I am 22 years old, and I was recently at, I recently went to Colorado for a camp trip, and we went to the Rocky Mountain Area Incident Support Center. Cash.
Yeah.
It's a cash, not some. And, what I did there was I worked on paper mostly. The boys would work outside and they would like clean the hoses and everything, but my jobs were something that's called refurb, where I would clean things and sort them out, make sure that they were open and that they were dry. I was tasked with sorting things where it would make sense, it would be easier for returns to do, and after about a couple days, I decided that I would be working in returns. In returns, I would box and seal the boxes of all the items, take accountability of what they were, take inventory of everything that was there, writing it down on the paper and making sure that our handwriting was legible. And then after that, it took about like a couple days again, and then I was transferred over to something called property. At first, I was really nervous about it because I hadn't been working with my friend Denise, and it was a bit of a struggle. However, I got over it very quickly, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot easier than returns. It was the same thing, but what I did there was that I made kits. So kits are kind of what goes to a fire assignment. So it makes up like the tents, the vest, the safety goggles, things like that, like say they want gloves or face masks, things like that. It would all go in there. And then I went to something called shipping. And while I was in shipping, it was only for a day. And while I was there, there was an immediate call, like an order that had to be shipped out the day of. And it was a mess. It was very high pace and high stress. However, I didn't let that get the best of me, and I helped box everything up. The boxes were very heavy. And not only that, I learned how to drive a forklift. And I became forklift certified. The first day that I tried it, I was really nervous, and I started the forklift, and then I got back off. And I would actively avoid having to drive the forklift for the whole 2 weeks because I was very scared. However, at the end of the assignment, we got tested to be certified. And I sucked it up and I got back on, and I didn't let the fear get ahead of me. And I got certified, which was pretty great. I had a lot of fun. We ate out a lot. But that was pretty cool. So for my first camp crew assignment, as the most unique one yet, I think I got pretty lucky. Thank you. Good job.
And last but not least, explain what this project was.
Good evening, my name is Ethan Neck, and what carpentry has done for me is taught me leadership skill. You know, when the attitude you are when you're working with others, you know, if you're crabby, it's gonna affect how they work. So if you improve their attitude, everyone else understands each other and we work better. So when we work on the kiosks, I learned to tell them, you know, in a calm voice what to do. Don't get angry. You know, calm them down and look at the scenery if they're stressed. So we would set up the scaffolds first, measure it out, and then we would climb on top of the ladder to get on top of the scaffolds to set up the roofing. And we'd replace it, measure it out. And the thing is if you measure it out perfectly, it will get done in one good thing, one good job. So my favorite thing about it is getting it all done in one go. You measure it out, you plan it out, and it gets done on the day. You get up. Once you get there, you have that mentality, it'll improve you even after job closure. And thank you.
Ethan, do you remember how many of those kiosks you guys did this summer?
I did about 3.
I think
Three
so.
kiosks.
3, and it's been a multi-year project. I think they've done about 15 of them now, re-roofing those. And so our policy is that those students, if they're above 6 feet, we can't use fall protection or anything like that. Union policy is that they have to have a level ground. So for every one of these, they have to set up that scaffolding every single day they go out there and make a level surface all the way around. So they got pretty good at that too. Yes. Yeah. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good job.
Yeah. Anything else, Derek?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys for coming tonight. So the next item on the agenda is public forum. Basically, we usually just read this item raised by the public. I'm sorry, about 2 minutes per person. Extend it if needed, but is there anybody in the audience that wants to say anything? Thanks. All right, so nothing for public forum. I think that's all we have for regular business. We do need to go into executive session for SDCL 125-2 to discuss the superintendent's evaluation. I don't think we need anybody in the state, right? Right? So you guys are released to go. If you, I mean, you can, yeah.